Chapter 12. Theo. My new bride is far more intoxicating than she should be. I could see how afraid she was from the moment she joined me at the altar. It wasn't what I wanted for her, fear. I could understand why. My family worked hard over the years to build a reputation that would incite the fear of anyone who knew about us. It was what my grandfather and father believed. The best way to hang on to what they'd built. No, carved out of blood and sweat, their own and others. But I don't want my wife to be afraid of me. I never intend to give her any reason to be. I'd done everything I could to reassure Marika throughout our wedding and reception. I wanted to be gentle with her, slow, to show her that I intended to treat her with the respect and care she's owed by virtue of who she is, even if there's no love between us. My brutality is reserved for those who deserve it, and Marika does not. It was hard to take things slowly once I had her in my bedroom. It had meant something to me, to bring her back here to my home instead of a hotel room, to start our marriage here in the bed that we will now share, to begin things as I hope that they'll go on in the future. The fact that Marika hadn't been off-put by it, or felt that I was cheating her of something by not taking her to a luxury hotel, made me feel markedly better about it all. But God, once I had her in here, so close to being able to be inside her. It had been so hard not to fuck her the way I'd craved. If she hadn't been a virgin, I would never have hurt her. But even now, as I run my fingers through her hair in the darkness, knowing that if I want her again, I will need to go slowly and carefully, that she must be sore, I still want to ravage her. Something about her rouses a strange possessiveness in me that makes me ache in ways I'm not familiar with. And if I'm being honest, it unsettles me. I've never felt this way about any woman. That's not to say I haven't enjoyed rough, hard sex in the past, but I've never felt this clawing, possessive need to fuck a woman in a way that feels as if I'm claiming her, making her mine, hard enough for her to feel the imprint of my cock in her body if it were possible. It doesn't even entirely make sense, because Marika couldn't be any more mine. I'm her first, and I will be her only. My cock, the pleasure I give her, will be all she ever knows. That, too, is something that I didn't expect to be as aroused by as I am. I draw her closer, wanting to kiss her again. If she's not ready for more, I tell myself, that will be fine. I want to feel her soft mouth, and my cock throbs as I think of when I'll finally get to feel it on my cock. Those soft, full lips tight around my aching length. Marika lets out a soft gasp as she feels me brush against her lower belly. I'm hard already just from thinking about the possibility of fucking her again, the idea of her mouth around me, and her hand comes up to touch my chest as I draw her in for a kiss. I wonder if she's going to try to push me away. I have no intention of forcing her. In time, if she's not willing often enough for me to get an air, we'll have to discuss it. But I'm not going to fuck her unwillingly. But God, I hope she's fucking willing. My hand presses lightly against the back of her head as I kiss her, my tongue urging her to part her lips, and she resists for only a second before she makes a low, soft sound in the back of her throat, her mouth opening for mine. I wonder if it's innocent shyness, if she's been taught that she's not meant to enjoy her husband's touch, or what she's been taught at all. I'm aware that her mother died when she was young, too young to have learned much about what her future would be in a marriage. I can't imagine that her father taught her much more. But the world we live in rarely values a wife's pleasure in a marriage, and I can imagine Marika might have picked up some ideas about that along the way. "Can you take me again, lass?" I ask her, sliding my thumb over her cheekbone. My cock throbs against her belly as I say it, underscoring my desire, and I hear that soft intake of breath from her again. She swallows hard, and I can tell she's thinking of saying no. Out of shyness or soreness, I don't know. But a moment passes, and then she nods, her fingers curling against my chest. "Yes," she whispers, and a jolt of arousal goes through me, so strong it's almost painful. "I'll be gentle," I tell her, murmuring against her mouth as I kiss her again. My hand slides between her thighs, wanting her to be aroused again as well. But it's hard to tell if she is or not, to be honest. She's a slick mess of her desire from earlier, and my cum. The feeling of her wetness against my fingers has me aching, my cock dripping pre-cum against the soft flesh of her stomach as my hips arch against her, and I deepen the kiss. She makes me feel fucking insatiable. My fingers slide over her clit, and I feel the way her hips twitch against me when I find it, circling in that slow rhythm that she seemed to like earlier. I don't touch her directly at first, sliding my fingertips around the hood in slow circles until finally I brush my index finger directly over her clit, pressing down as I rub, and each time she gasps, her hips arching into mine. It's a way to build her to a slow, hard orgasm, but right now, I'm not sure I can wait that long. I slide my fingers lower, gently slipping 2 of them into her, and I groan at how wet she feels. She's still full of my cum, her thighs damp with it, and as I press my thumb into her clit, I feel her tighten around me, her hips starting to roll steadily into my hand as she deepens the kiss. She's a quick learner. It makes me feel good to think that I please her enough that she's able to set aside whatever reservations she might have, whatever fears, and let herself feel how good it can be, that she'll let me please her. I want you to come for me before I'm in you again, lass, I murmur against her mouth, nipping lightly at her lower lip as I slowly thrust my fingers inside of her. I want you good and wet for me. I feel like I am. She lets out a nervous laugh that ends on a moan as I curl my fingers inside of her. Oh, does that feel good? Marika nods, her nose brushing against mine as she gasps again, and I close my eyes, willing my self-control to hold. My cock feels like it's on the verge of bursting again, my balls tight and painful, and I want to be inside of her wet heat more than I want to breathe. I need to fuck her, but I want to make sure that it's good for her too. Can you come for me again? I kiss her again, dragging my mouth slowly over hers, and then I lean to kiss her neck, gently brushing my lips over what seemed earlier to be her most sensitive spots. I want you to come for me, Marika. I don't know. She moans again, her breasts pressing against my chest as her hand grips my arm, and her pussy tightens around my fingers. Oh God. Theo, that... My cock throbs at the sound of her moaning my name, more of my own arousal coating my shaft and her skin as I keep up the same rhythm, the shallow, curled thrusts of my fingers as I roll my thumb over her clit, and I can feel that she's on the edge, her body tensing as the pleasure heightens. That's it, lass, I murmur against her ear, lightly dragging my tongue over her earlobe, down to the soft spot just beneath. Come on my fingers, I want your cum all over my hand, pretty Kayleen. Marika gasps, and I realize with a start that the endearment, spoken in a rougher Irish burr and in Gaelic, sent her over the edge. Her entire body tenses, her moan lost in the pillow as she turns her head and arches against me hard. I feel her pussy flutter and throb around my fingers as she cries out, her nails digging into my arm. It's hard enough to hurt, but God, I don't fucking care, because it feels so good to have her come on my hand like this. Her hips thrust down, as if she can't stop herself from fucking my fingers. Her entire body twisting and arching as she comes for me, and I let it go on for as long as I can stand before I roll her suddenly onto her back, angling my cock against her entrance, desperate to feel the last ripples of her orgasm around my cock. That's it. I groan as I slip my cockhead into her, the exquisite pleasure of it almost too much as she squeezes around me, still pulsing from her orgasm. Take me, Kayleen. That's a good girl. Fuck. She feels incredible. I've never known a woman who felt this good before, hot and wet and tight. I grip her thigh with one hand as I slide into her, seeing her watch me as I lift the fingers of my other hand to her lips, not caring that my cum is on them too. I want to taste her too badly to give a shit about anything else. Oh God, she groans as she watches me lick her arousal off my fingers. Theo. You taste so fucking sweet, lass, I murmur, leaning over her as I grip the pillow next to her head. And you take my cock so fucking well. I thrust into her another inch and she gasps. Are you all right? I ask her softly, hoping to God that she says yes because I don't know how I'd manage to pull out of her right now if she said it was too much. The hot velvet grip of her pussy feels like fucking heaven, and it's a struggle to hold back my own orgasm long enough to enjoy her as much as I want to. Marika nods. Yes, she breathes, her voice a little strangled. You're so big. Fuck. I laugh, a low sound in the back of my throat as I push a little deeper, feeling her give and tighten around me. Just what every man wants to hear, I murmur against her mouth, giving her another inch, fighting against what feels like a soul-deep urge to thrust into her as hard as I can and take her fast and deep. But I don't want to hurt you. It hurts a little, she admits breathily. But it feels good too. As if to echo what she just said, I feel her spasm around me again, her pussy clenching as if to draw me deeper, and I groan against her lips. I can feel how much pleasure she's getting out of it, and fuck, it turns me on to make her feel good. I'm not sure I'll be able to make her come again. I've already managed more than I thought she'd be able to on her first night. But feeling her clench around my cock, I want to feel her come with me. I keep up the slow, steady strokes that have her writhing and gasping beneath me, my hips rocking into hers and grinding against her clit with every stroke. And I reach down, my hands wrapping around hers as I lift them over her head, stretching her out beneath me and holding her there as I thrust into her again and again, until I feel as if I'm going to lose my mind from the pleasure. Come for me, Kayleen, I groan against her mouth, when I know I can't take it any longer. Come for me while I fill you up. Marika moans, gasping against my lips, and I feel her move with me, her legs tangled around mine as she arches and writhes. Theo, she moans my name, and that's all I can take. Oh God, I'm going to fucking come in you, lass. I thrust once more, harder than before, feeling my cock stiffen and throb as I start to come inside of her for the second time tonight. It feels so fucking good, my hips grinding into hers, trying to push as deeply inside of her as I can as she cries out with pleasure. And as I feel her start to shudder around me, I realize that she's coming again too. Fuck. Knowing that makes me almost feel as if I'm coming all over again, come jolting from me again and again as I throb inside of her. I feel her tighten and ripple as she arches tightly against me, moaning helplessly against my mouth as we come together.